Hello angels, in this video I will be repainting this Draculara doll, not to change her into a different character but more try to make her a bit more vampy gothic style. We're starting by removing her original face. I am just using acetone free nail polish remover. For some reason this seems to work better for me than acetone nail polish remover. I'm not sure what the other chemical is that seems to work better, but I just do small circles on the paint. As the acetone doesn't really remove completely, it just kind of separates the bond between the paint and the surface. So then what can happen is that you can end up smudging the whole face of the doll. So I just tried to do very small circles, not to move the paint too much, and then you can see it's already like smudging, and then I can use the cotton wool to kind of just wipe it all away very quickly. This way I reduce the risk of smudging, which can happen a lot, especially on light colored dolls. It's very noticeable. Now I'm using watercolor pencil just to create some shading and contouring in the face. I think one of the things in doll painting that people who are just starting out may not know is that because the doll's face is all one color, that's something that makes it look not real. The lack of different tones in the face and shading and contour and things like that makes it look like a doll. So if you want it to look more realistic, then start adding different shades, and watercolor pencils are really good for this. If you make any mistake, you can use water to completely remove, or sometimes I will use a cotton bud that has been dipped in water then strained to smudge the watercolor across the face. This Monster High doll has not been primed. I don't prime the Monster High faces before I work with them because I want to be able to remove completely. With acetone, if I make a mistake or want to go in another direction, this is something that's not so easily done when you have primed the face, because that means that the prime is then uneven. I do little pencil marks to decide when to start the eye, and then just freehand with my thin brush. I use a Winsor & Newton Series 7 000 brush. It's my favorite type of brush to use. I use it for most things, and I just use it to start to create the outline of the eyes. And I am using stark black for this doll. But usually if I'm wanting to do something a bit more natural, I will choose like the darkest of its skin tone. So if it was a pink doll, then I would use dark pink, or dark blue if it was a blue doll, this kind of thing. There's very few things on the face that are naturally jet black. Even things that might be lines, one would consider lines around the eye and things like that when you're painting, it's always best to use something like a Payne's grey. The paint I'm using for this black is by Golden. Golden make wonderfully thin, flat acrylic paints. They are a little bit expensive, but they are very high-end paints, very good quality. And I'm using the carbon black for the eyes here. Now before starting this Gothic style Draculara, I did do some research on Gothic style makeups, and I had in mind of something that I would want to do to create this kind of triangular teardrop shape underneath the eye. Then for the whites of the eyes, I use the Fifidoll airbrush paint, as it is very, very thin. It's still wonderfully pigmented, and I can use it straight out of the bottle without using any flow aid. And I can just do a very, very thin layer or one or two layers. And then whilst I'm waiting for the whites of the eyes to dry, I can do the shape of the lips. Remember, you could always go back and do things again with the acetone, just very carefully cleaning up the sides and the area around the mouth. Then we can go back and do another layer of white. With the airbrush paint, it allows you to make a completely flat surface. No brush strokes visible, which is very important in a big piece of paint like the eye. Redoing the black line can help you keep the eye shape in check. As we don't want that white running over or anything like that. And she wouldn't be a vampire without a little bit of vampire blood. And now the eyes. I've started just with a red, a bright red, to place the eyes where I want them to look. I can then use darker reds and blacks to add more depth. And now we can use the watercolor pencil in black for a kind of smoky eyeliner. Then we can start with the vampire teeth, which can be quite tricky. I would suggest using a slightly thicker paint than the white airbrush paint. The thicker paint helps the teeth stick out more. Now with the hair, I believe it was up in a ponytail. I had heat set it so it was a bit more relaxed, and I had cut the fringe into a kind of triangular fringe. Unfortunately, because the hair is so small, it kind of wasn't being flat, so I used a clear drying glue to flatten down the fringe and kind of make it sit exactly how I wanted to. The glue I used was called Mod Podge, and it is used for sealing as well as for gluing things. Most other glues, they will maybe dry clear, but after a long time and they will start to yellow. Mod Podge doesn't do this. Then I just add more shading with the watercolor pencil. And some contour with a dark purple, just to make her even more kind of gaunt looking. This also helped to deepen the brow, make her look a bit more vexed. Then I used Citadel's hard coat. This is a very glossy varnish that they use for gemstones. I use it on the eyes and on the lips. Then adding some tiny freckle details for a hint of cuteness. And I started shading on the body as well with watercolor pencils. This was just done very lightly, so I luckily didn't really need the body to be primed, although it's something that I usually do is to prime the body with Manchurian varnish from Citadel, just so paints and things like that can stick to the body much easier rather than to slip off on the sleek plastic of the body. And she's dressed, just adding a few little touches just to deepen the nose, make it a bit more defined. and any points in the eyes that I wanted to change, going off and focusing on the body allows me to come back to the face with kind of a little bit of fresh eyes, just to check anything I want to change last minute. A little hint of a sly smile helps her look more vampirish. And she's finished. I gave her a Elizabeth outfit. I think those are Elizabeth shoes as well, but feel free to comment and let me know. I got her in a job lot, so I'm unsure as to the pieces, but here she is, completely finished with accompanying coffin-like stand that has also been painted. She is up for adoption, so if you would like to home her, please message me. My email is there. All my social media is there. This was filmed whilst I was streaming on MeetMe, so if you would like to watch me as I paint, you're very welcome to join me there on MeetMe. We have a wonderful little community of people in the doll's house, and we would love to welcome you. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please give it a like and subscribe. Thank you so much, angels. Take care.